Passive income after 55. Real ways without risk. If you're over 55 and you hear the words passive income, you're probably thinking one of two things. First, this is another pyramid scheme for naive people. Second, this is for young people who understand cryptocurrency and startups. I'll tell you the truth. Both assumptions are wrong. Passive income after 55 isn't a fantasy. It's not a fairy tale about getting rich quick. It's a real tool for financial security that works especially well for people your age. Why? Because you have something that 20-year-olds don't. Experience, patience, and an understanding that real money doesn't appear overnight. It accumulates. Slowly, reliably. Like interest on a deposit, only better. Today I'm going to tell you about 5 ways to create passive income after 55, without risk, without complicated schemes, without needing to understand blockchain. Only proven, understandable tools that work in real life. Let's start with the simplest one. The first method, bank deposits with monthly interest payments. I know what you're thinking right now. Deposits? That's not passive income, that's just a bank. Yes, but there's a nuance. Most people open deposits with interest capitalization. This means the interest is added to the principal amount and you don't see it until the end of the term. This is good for accumulation, but it's not passive income. Passive income is when money comes regularly, monthly, to your account, so you can use it. How to do this correctly? Step 1. Open a deposit not with capitalization, but with monthly interest payments. Step 2. Leave the principal amount untouched. Withdraw only the interest. Step 3. Use the interest for monthly expenses or transfer it to a separate account for additional purchases. Let's calculate an example. You have $50,000. The deposit rate is 5% per year. This is a conservative rate you can find in reliable banks. 5% of 50,000 equals $2,500 per year. 2,500 divided by 12 months equals $208 per month. $208 every month, without any effort, without risk. Your principal amount remains untouched. This covers utility bills, or medication, or gives you the opportunity to go to a restaurant once a month without thinking about prices. $200 isn't a lot, but it's stable, and it's yours. Now for the important points that banks don't tell you about. Point 1. Choose banks that are part of the deposit insurance system. This means that even if the bank goes bankrupt, the government will return your money up to a certain limit. Point 2. Don't put all your money in one bank. Divide it between 2 or 3 banks. If you have $100,000, put $40,000 in 3 different banks. This way you're protected on the full amount. Point 3. A deposit is the foundation, not all your passive income. This is the base on which you build other sources. Remember, passive income isn't about big money quickly. It's about small money constantly. The second method, renting out part of your property. Notice, not the entire apartment, part of it. Do you have a 2-bedroom apartment? Rent out 1 room. Do you have a house with an extra room? Rent it to a student or business traveler. But I don't want to live with strangers. I understand. And I'm not saying this suits everyone, but if you live alone and you have extra space that's not being used, that's money just lying there as dead weight. Let's calculate. A room in a decent neighborhood costs between $300 and $600 per month. Let's take the average, $450. $450 multiplied by 12 months equals $5,400 per year. $5,400 per year for a room that's empty anyway. But there are rules you need to follow for this to work without problems. Rule 1. Make a contract. Always. Even if the person seems reliable. A contract protects both of you. Rule 2. Take a deposit. Usually this is the amount of 1 month's rent. The deposit covers possible damages or non-payment of the last month. Rule 3. Set clear rules immediately. Can they bring guests? Can they use the kitchen? Who pays utilities? All of this is discussed before the person moves in. Rule 4. Choose tenants carefully. Meet in person. Ask for contacts of someone who can vouch for them. Trust your instinct. I know a woman, Maria, 62 years old, who rents a room in her 3-bedroom apartment to a medical student. The student pays $400 a month, is almost never home because she's studying and doing internships, and Maria says she actually enjoys having someone young in the apartment. $400 a month, $4,800 a year. Maria spends it on travel. This isn't for everyone, but if you have space that's not being used, think about it as an investment that's already in your home. Alternative, short-term rental. If the idea of a permanent roommate scares you, there's another option. Short-term rental through platforms like Airbnb or Booking. You rent the room or the entire apartment for weekends, for a week. To business travelers, tourists, people coming for weddings or conferences. The price is higher. Instead of $400 a month, you can get $50 to $80 per night. If you rent for 10 days a month, that's $500 to $800. More money, fewer obligations. But more work. You need to clean after each guest, communicate, manage bookings, choose depending on how much time you're willing to spend. The third method, government bonds. If you've never heard this term, don't worry. I'll explain it as simply as possible. Government bonds are when you lend money to the government and the government pays you interest. Is this safer than a deposit? In some aspects, yes. Why? Because the government can't go bankrupt the way a bank can. The government can always print money to pay you back. A bank cannot. How it works, you buy a bond for a certain amount. For example, for $10,000. The government pays you interest. Currently, bond rates range from 3 to 5% per year, depending on the term. Let's take the average, 4%. 4% of $10,000 equals $400 per year. $400 divided by 12 equals $33 per month. If you have $50,000 in government bonds, that's $167 per month. More than a deposit in some cases. More reliable than stocks. But there are nuances. Nuance 1. Bonds are purchased through a bank or broker. Not all banks do this. Ask your bank if they work with government bonds. Nuance 2. There's a minimum amount, usually from $1,000. Nuance 3. Term. Bonds can be for 1, 2, 3 years. If you decide to withdraw money earlier, you'll get it back, but you'll lose part of the interest. Nuance 4. Foreign currency bonds. The government issues bonds not only in local currency, but also in dollars and euros. If you want to protect money from currency devaluation, you can buy foreign currency bonds. Interest is lower, around 3 to 4% per year, but in dollars. Who is this suitable for? For those who have free money that won't be needed for the next year or two. For those who want more than a deposit, but don't want to risk stocks. Government bonds are the golden mean between safety and profitability. A story from life. Anatoly, 58 years old, a former engineer, sold a cottage he wasn't using. He received $80,000. He put half in a deposit, half in government bonds. The deposit brings him $330 per month. Bonds bring him $530 per month. Together, $860 per month of passive income. Anatoly says this changed his life. Now he doesn't have to think about medication. He can help his daughter. He can live, not just survive. The fourth method, sharing your knowledge for money. This isn't completely passive income in the classic sense because it requires your time, but it's income that you create once and it works many times. What do I mean? You've lived 55, 60, 65 years. You have skills, knowledge, experience, things that young people don't have. And there are people willing to pay for it. Examples. You worked as a chef for 30 years? Record a video course. How to cook authentic dishes properly. Sell it for $20. Sell 50 copies, that's $1,000. You recorded it once, you sell it constantly. You're a retired teacher? Create an online course preparing for standardized tests in your subject, or give private lessons through Zoom. 20 hours a month at $20 per hour equals $400 extra. You sew well? Record videos, how to hem pants, how to sew a hole so it's not visible. Sell access to a video library for a symbolic price. You know how to take care of a garden? Consult online with people who just bought property and don't understand plants. But I don't know how to record videos. You don't need a professional camera. A phone records beautifully. You don't need editing. Just you, the camera, and your knowledge. But who will buy this? More people than you think. On the internet, millions of people search for how to every day. If you know the answer, you can make money from it. Platforms where you can do this: YouTube with monetization through advertising, online course platforms, private lessons through Zoom, subscription-based channels with paid access. You don't have to become a blogger with 1 million subscribers. 100 people paying you $5 a month is enough. That's $500 of passive income. Example: Olga, 61 years old, a former accountant. She created a channel, Accounting for Dummies, where she explains complex things in simple language. Subscription costs $10 per month. She has 230 subscribers. 230 times 10 equals $2,300 per month. She publishes 2 to 3 posts per week. Answers questions. This takes 5 to 6 hours per week. $2,300 for 20 to 25 hours of work per month. That's almost $100 per hour. Your knowledge is an asset. Don't hide it. Monetize it. The fifth method: dividend investment funds. This is the most complex method of all I've mentioned. But if you have at least $10,000 that you won't be using for the next few years, it's worth considering. What is an investment fund? It's when you and hundreds of other people pool money together, and a professional manager invests this money in various assets: stocks, bonds, real estate. The profit from these assets is distributed among everyone who contributed money. Advantages: diversification. Your money is distributed among dozens of companies. If one falls, others compensate. Professional management. You don't choose where to invest yourself. This is done by someone who's been trained for years. Regular payments. Some funds pay dividends monthly or quarterly. Disadvantages: risk. This isn't a deposit. The value of your shares can fall. Fees. The manager takes 1 to 3% of the amount annually for their management. Time is needed. This is an investment for at least 3 to 5 years. Who is this suitable for? For those who have long money. Money you're not planning to spend in the coming years. Money whose short-term loss risk won't break you. How much can you earn? Dividend funds usually give 5 to 8% annually in stable years. This is less than some bonds, but more than a foreign currency deposit. If you have $20,000 in an investment fund with 6% annually, 20,000 times 6% equals $1,200 per year, which is $100 per month. Not much, but it's another source, another brick in your passive income foundation. Important: do not put all your money in one instrument. An investment fund isn't a replacement for a deposit. It's a supplement. Let's summarize. 5 ways to create passive income after 55. First, deposits with monthly interest payments. Reliable, simple, stable. Second, renting out part of your property. If there's free space, it's money lying as dead weight. Third, government bonds. More interest than deposits, same reliability. Fourth, monetizing your knowledge. You know things people are willing to pay for. Use it. Fifth, investment funds with dividends. For those who have long money and are ready for moderate risk. Now the most important thing. Passive income isn't about choosing one method and putting all your money on it. Passive income is diversification. This means you distribute money among several sources so that, if one doesn't work, others back you up. Example of optimal distribution for a person with $60,000. $30,000 in deposits, that's 50%, equals $125 per month. $20,000 in government bonds, that's 33%, equals $67 per month. $10,000 in an investment fund, that's 17%, equals $50 per month. Plus, renting a room equals $400 per month. Plus, monetizing knowledge equals $300 per month. Total, $942 per month of passive income. $942 that come regardless of whether you work or not. This isn't millions, but it's freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom not to count every dollar. Freedom to help your children without denying yourself the essentials. The last thing I want to say. Don't put this off until later. Don't wait for the right moment. The right moment is now. Start small. Open a deposit. Think about government bonds. Record one video about something you do well. Each step brings you closer to financial stability. You deserve to have your money work for you, not you working for money. Thank you for watching to the end. If this video was helpful, share it with those over 50 who are also thinking about financial security. Take care of yourself and your money.